high achieving women are usually centered around their achievement. They can only see themselves as far as they can accomplish. And that is a unique issue because while it gets a lot of them far, whether it is business wise, corporate wise, or even there's a lot of church leaders, ministry leaders that are high achievers. It sounds like a compliment, but it's really kind of a form of bondage in and of itself. Because if I only feel worthy when I'm accomplishing, then what happens when life gets in the way? What happens when I fail? Because that's inevitable. What happens when God calls me to a season of rest? Who am I when I'm not doing? And so when you're centered around your achievements or doing something, it is hard for you to stand still enough to be and to exist and to heal. And a lot of times they come in like, all right, so what do I do? And I'm like,
yeah, they do.
Yeah, it's like, let's actually start with you doing nothing. My homework to a lot of high achievers sometimes is meditation. You can't even hear God when you're moving at the speed that you're moving. You can't even, really connect with those around you when your next thing is I have to do. Let me show up for this person. And a lot of times they neglect themselves. A lot of high achievers feel lonely. And that's the gag because they show up in the world as, I'm here, I'm there, I'm doing all these things. Look at this next goal. And people oftentimes think they're doing so well because they're not going to show those external things. Those internal things. And so they don't get checked on. They're often the strong friend. Everybody leans on them. But internally, sometimes they're falling apart and they feel less than, and they don't feel as good as they look on social media. And they struggle to say like, I need help and I'm hurting, or, please support me in this area. And so I know them so well because I was one. And I still struggle to not move to the next thing. Yeah, I still struggle sometimes to not move to the next thing. But I've had to learn, especially one thing that'll help you is getting burnt out. Then you'll be like, oh, I'm not every woman. It's not all in me. Okay, cool. But yeah, when you reach that point of that question of like, I wasn't doing something. If I worked at a grocery store, who would I be? What would I love? What would I connect with? I recently had a client be like, yeah, I just found out my favorite color a few weeks ago. Because maybe the colors that you wear are based off of your brand or, the things that look good in your aesthetically pleasing house. But is it what you really like? Are the things that you've accepted in your relationship really the things you want or the things you feel like you have access to? Or you're scared to speak up because you don't want to be too demanding. I can go on, but high achieving women specifically have the double bind of, especially if they're Christian, they have the double bind of now not only do I have to perform in my life, but I have to perform for God. And so a lot of their relationships can sometimes be surface, especially with God, because it's based off of me being on stage and making sure that I get enough applause to show me that I am enough, that I'm worthy, that I did good, that I am good. But though they miss out on true relationships. So a lot of them have relational trauma because they maybe didn't get deep enough, or they finally uncovered themselves, but it was to the wrong person. And yeah, it's a lot of things that go into it.